Hi everyone, Scrappy Kathy here. I have what I hope will be a quicker video today. I've done some of the cutting and planning ahead of time, and I think the long one that I did last time has really got me in the mood to do a short one. This is the sketch that we're working with. It was posted by Redefined Kreative and the Secret Not Secret Kit Club on their Redefined Kreative Facebook page. And Shannon and I decided to do this one because it is the current one. And when we complete our layouts, we'll enter them in the drawing, just like everyone else. So what I like about this sketch, of course, are the excuse me, the hexagons, and I happen to have a little bucket of hexagon punches, which I used to cut out the hexagons that I'm going to use. And just to let you know, I am part of the Mini Kit Monday challenge group, also on Facebook, and this stuff that I'm holding in my hand right here, what's left of my April Mini Kit Monday kit. And so I'm using a lot of that. I had I'm using this, it may be easier to show this. Just to go back for a second, I pre-cut the shapes, decided on the main background paper, and it's one that was chosen by my granddaughter Ava a long time ago. It was a piece that was in my stash that she wanted, and I had two, so I gave her one. And I love it. I forget how she used it, but it would have been several years ago. And so I decided to use this since it's about her and Easter Sunday with her before she entered the hospital for some nasty stuff. This is it's a Mombly screen print. It's hand silk screened paper, and Mombly is gone, sadly, but not forgotten. I still have many of their pages, and it's just amazing stuff, and the colors are unusual, and the treatments are unusual. And this one, it kind of looks like there's been some mixed media going on, but there hasn't. So what I do in cases like this where I'm trying to match a sketch and I don't have exactly the same here, I'm going to leave out these two vertical elements, and I'm just going to have the photo in the center and kind of work all these banners and hexagons around. I'm going to let the paper speak for itself. I'm not going to do the mixed media that is shown on the sketch. And as you can see, the paper has this owl on a limb and a couple of birds on a limb. So I'm gonna let those stand out, and they're in a color of brown that I do not have anywhere else on the layout, so we'll see how that works. That's not something I do very often, but in this case I think it may work. My main color, and the color that you might think the design is on here, is going to be kind of a charcoaly gray. And so the first thing I did when I laid it out, I call this a dry run, and I kind of dry fit things. I could see that this little cluster of hexagons here would not work there because the birds are there. So I moved them over to here and kind of did the others. It just kind of did a mirror image of it. So when I did the dry fit, I took a photo of it, and I have this as my guide as I begin pulling all this apart, because I have to take everything off of here and cut the strip off, and I'm actually going to cut it down a 1/2 inch here and a 1/2 inch up here so that a gray layer of cardstock can show underneath as kind of a frame. And I'm doing that for a couple reasons. First of all, the paper is a little bit thinner than I like to use. And once I start piling elements on it, it might get a little bit difficult to handle. So I'm going to start now, and I may not say much while I'm doing this, but I'm gonna dump all this off to the side, do my cutting. I'll cut this. I'm not sure how much of this you can see, but okay. And that owl's kind of towards the bottom, so I think it's right for me to cut things from the top with a 1/2 inch off 2 sides. It'll leave me a 1/4 inch border. Hopefully a 1/2 inch doesn't cut any. Nope, it leaves the leaves and the birds intact, but it makes them look like they're just a corner element, which is perfect. And I will probably use these strips for, there's a solid on the back. I'll use these strips for layouts in the future. I'm actually going to work those back into my kit. Okay, I'm going to place this, and I actually noticed one of those strips seemed to be wider than the other, but I'm going to fit this on here anyway. It seems to be, I seem to be able to do that. Okay, and the rest of this may go fairly fast. I'm going to work with both the sketch and my dry fit kind of in view there. I'm going to put this up here, and I'll let it be. Some of these I'm going to pop up. Some of the hexagons I'll pop up. Some I'll lay flat. I'm gluing this one flat because I want to be able to cut the top off. There we go. Okay, so we've got, this is my favorite pattern paper of this basic gray line. I think it's called the B-side. And I love this paper. So I'm using it in several times in this. Some of these were cut from the 12 by 12 sheets I had. Some were cut from a 6 by 6 paper pad. And it does not bother me that the scale will be a little bit different. I'm going to do that one flat too. Okay, one cluster down, and what I want to do is with each cluster, I'd like to add a wood element, and I have a few wood items here. I'm going to use a wood title. I have a wood veneer camera, a tiny butterfly, and a heart. So I'm going to put a little glue here. Let me see where that looks good. I want it at somewhat of an angle, and I'm going to overlap it on that cluster of hexagons. Okay, that cluster is done, and I'm going to, I have to place the other cluster so that I before we do the pictures, because I really don't want to, I don't want to get too close to and mess up the look of those birds up there. So let me see, I may move the pink there. It's a little less distracting. So let me get that on. I'll do the first one flat just because it's a little easier to get it placed that way. and to know that it's straight. I'll do this heavily printed one as a pop-up, and I may also pop up the blue floral as well, or the green floral. That's kind of a really pretty blue-green, and typically you don't think of that mint green and this kind of chartreusey citron going together, but this actually is a banner cut from the packaging on the 6x6 page, and look how nice those colors look together. They're really pretty. Okay, so I've got that there. I have matted my photo several times. I left a white border around it when I cut it from the photo sheet. I put a gray behind it and then the citron color, and I realized that citron color I was going to leave it at that. It would kind of get lost on the background paper. So I found another print. It's actually of cassette tapes. I can't show it to you there, but it's cassette tapes. When you cut it that thin, it just looks like a multicolor pattern back there. So I'm going to say that it can go. I don't mind if these hexagons overlap it there, because there's nothing interesting in the photo, and I really don't want it to overtake the owl down here. So, and that may influence, to be honest, that owl's existence may influence the placement of the banners, and I'll talk more about that in a second. I'm just going, because this is matted so many times, I'm not going to pop it up. I'm going to just go ahead and lay it flat. Now is a matter of placing the other hexagons and the banner. Oh, let me go over here and add my, I was going to add a wood veneer to each cluster, so I think I may add this this one up here, and then there's a very small cluster that's going to go down. Let's see, I want to get the, okay, that can go there. All right. What I have left to do here, now I'm going to go back to the sketch, and I'm going to say that I'm going to kind of group a cluster of this one large and a couple small hexagons down over on this side. So I'm going to put this one down. Actually, I'm going to use it, I'm going to tuck it under. I didn't have enough paper to cut a whole hexagon, so I cut a part one, realizing I could put it on the edge of the paper or tuck it under a page like this. I've got a couple small hexagons here now. I will use those because I think it would be too much to have these I may bring down here, and I'm not crazy about that. I'll do that. Let's see. This one would work, and I'll lay it flat. Okay, those are there. What we have now, I have a word strip that because it's this was kind of a send-off for Ava to go to the hospital. I thought this "And Away We Go" might work, and so I'm going to try some places. I may let it overlap these hexagons. That's what I think I'll do. And let me actually use some, I'll use a thin strip of foam to kind of pop it up, because the hexagon that it's going to overlap is actually flat. It's glued flat, so it won't interrupt. So let me, I'm not doing this in your field of vision here, so I'm a little distracted. Let me go here. There's, and away we go. Now, I've got a set of banners that I cut 3 from the alphabet letters and 3 from the pink paper. But I actually, I cut some others. I hate throwing away packaging. So the cover of this, the 6x6 pad had an example of all of the, samples of all the papers. So I cut it in 2 and then used my punch to cut banners that had half one pattern and half the other. So I ended up with a lot of really cute patterns that coordinate with all the other patterns that we're using. So I may use these on another project and try using these. Let me get this down and kind of see where they may go. I'm going to start grouping them maybe in a, and they're all different, so I'll try to space them out, and I'm going to pop them up. That would, okay, there are 5, so I like that there's an odd number there. I may do 1 or 2 over in this corner. I don't want to use one with the background the exact same color, or with the same color as the background, so I could do that. And let me see if I even need this hexagon. Let me do it, let me cut it down like I did the other one. I'll put it on there, and then maybe this guy could just, well, maybe I don't even want that guy. Okay, let me first do get the banner around and see. I'm curling the ends and putting a pop dot near the top so that it can have, there can be quite a lot of shadowing. And actually, I don't have any twine with me here. Yes, I do. Actually, I'll dash away from the screen in a minute and go get some twine off the windowsill. I keep my twine on the windowsill. The really big spools of it. And as these go around, I'll kind of weave some twine through. And I don't know about you, but I think I've lost my tiny wood butterfly that I had, so I may have to dip into my, oh, there it is. Okay, and I'll use this butterfly somewhere with these things down in this lower right-hand corner. So in the meantime, let me get these done. I love using sketches to start my design process. I rarely use them as intended, let's put it that way. And this is not going to be an exception. I've got, ooh, maybe this could go here. There we go. I like that. As I'm arching the banners around, I see that there's a little bit of space here, and I can put a small hexagon to kind of fill in that space. And it's a repeat of the same pattern hexagon I used here, and it's the same size, so it makes sense to group it around the photo. I don't think it would make as much sense, let's say, it would be as cohesive a design to put it over in a separate cluster. So there we go. And I was thinking some black and white twine. And before we address this cluster over here, which may or may not even make the show, actually, let's do this. I like the idea of the hexagon maybe cut just a little bit and put down there by itself. It repeats a pattern and size that you see up here, and again in a smaller size right here, and there's a bit of it on this banner, so that pattern is repeated, and it's good because it's my favorite. These three banner pieces, I thought maybe I'd combine something. Let's see what that looks like there, or I could try, since I'm going with black and white twine, that might work, but I think I want to cut this down and maybe use it like that so you can still see the hexagon above it. I like that. And for a third element in that cluster, I'm going to see if I can avoid losing that tiny butterfly again. And I'll stick that there so it shares a border. A tiny bit of glue here. And a tweezer to pick up the butterfly, and we've got it like this. I like the butterfly image because I'm hoping Ava emerges from the cocoon of the hospital all completely well and happy. And because this is about a hospitalization and and her illness, I've had this for a while. It is, I think it's chipboard that has been laser cut and burned to produce the black finish, and then formed into the letters that say laughter, and printed with "is definitely the best medicine." And I won this in a challenge that I entered a couple years ago. The maker of these wonderful things is a company called Scrap Mats, and I think they're out of Australia. But they will ship anywhere in the world, and their prices are very reasonable. And there's some very unusual items there that I haven't ever seen anywhere else. So right now, I may put this right here beside the owl, so it looks like the wise old owl is saying laughter is the best medicine. So a little glue along here. And that makes the title easy, and I don't have to find any alphas that line up or match. Now this laughter is the best medicine is the wood camera, butterfly, and heart are the only elements that were not in my Mini Kit Monday kit. Okay, let me dash off for a second and get the twine, and I'll be right back. Okay, not too bad. The windowsill isn't too far away. I'm going to cut it like this, and I'll kind of, I don't ever do this very scientifically. I kind of squeeze a bit of glue and stuff it down there. Maybe let it circle like this before I stuff it in the next couple places, and then I'll glue it down here, and I'll glue it in the last spot, and then as it kind of curls around, I find a spot that it might naturally want to rest, and I'll glue it down there. So that's my finished layout. Let me get, there will be in oh, let me cut this one, this guy off. Actually, it's sticking up the top, so it wouldn't interfere. Actually, what I'm going to do is off camera, I'm going to cut, no I'm not. I'll do the scary thing and cut it with scissors. There we go. Not too bad there. Okay, so I've kept the elements of the horizontal, the landscape orientation on the photo. I've got clusters of hexagons around, some banners around in a way that kind of accents the and frames the photo. I've got a simple word sentiment strip that says "and away we go," and laughter is the best medicine, kind of hoping that Ava can resort to some laughter as she goes through all this stuff. So that's it. Scrappy Kathy's out, and hope you enjoyed it.